Greetings to all. This is Father Esteban from here from the St. John Paul II parish in the south side of Milwaukee. Greetings and I do hope that you are all well, despite of all these difficult times we are going through. We are just continuing this tradition of having this weekly reflection, and I was thinking that probably this is not a better time and a better chance to be talking about the feast we are going to be celebrating this coming Saturday, the Feast of the Assumption of Mary. We'll be talking about that today. The first thing I would like to do is to go through some quick facts about this feast. First one is it's just to make sure that we are not confused about what is the Assumption of Mary and what is the Ascension of Jesus. The Ascension of Jesus, we celebrated it at the end of Easter, when Jesus was ascended to the right hand of the Father after appearing after his resurrection. So we are celebrating the Assumption of Mary. Second is that we are celebrating this feast as a dogma of the Church, and as such it was recognized in 1950 by Pope Pius XII. It is a fairly recent dogma, again proclaimed in 1950, but certainly it was not just that. It did not appear, or did Pope Pius XII did not wake up and like, I want to have a new dogma today. No, it comes from a long tradition in the Church that goes back to the 6th century, when some Eastern churches were celebrating already the Dormition of Our Lady, again the 6th century. And certainly the 19th century, at the end of the 19th century and until 1950, it was already a matter of discussion whether this feast that has been celebrated consistently could be declared dogma, and it was declared so in 1950. The other fact is, and I will be brief on that one, but is what are we celebrating? And what we are celebrating is that Mary did not suffer any corruption in body, because it was assumed to heaven. So she was spared of the corruption of the body because she was assumed to heaven. And I know that probably kind of makes so what? And that's what we are going to try to explain is how this came about, what happened here, why we're celebrating this, that it's not even in the scriptures. It's not even in the scriptures. So we have to go back a few centuries before, actually 1 century before these first celebrations that we were saying about the Dormition of Mary. What happened is that for us, accepting, understanding that Mary was the Mother of God, it's in our spiritual genes. It's there. We know it. We repeat it, sometimes even without realizing it. But everything started again with the notion that Mary was the Mother of God. Once we accept and once we assume that Mary was indeed the Mother of God, it kind of flows naturally that as the Mother of God, she had a privilege of having her body uncorrupted because she was the one carrying God in her womb. And in this sense, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception and the Feast of the Assumption, they are related, because again, it's the understanding that Mary was the Mother of God, the real Mother of God. And as such, she had to be preserved. She had to be preserved. So, Mother of God is it's a notion again that for us is very clear, but it was not so. It was not so at the beginning of the church, the first centuries of the church, and people had problems. And if you think about it, how a person, how a woman can be the mother of God. So much so that there were some controversies regarding this fact, Mary, Mother of God. Patriarch of Constantinople, called Nestorius in the 5th century, made some points that were very problematic. And that forced a council in Ephesus in the year 431. What Nestorius said was that there were two different persons in Jesus, one divine and another one human, and that these two natures were not united, and that Mary was the mother of the human nature of Jesus, but not the divine nature of Jesus. That somehow Jesus was born only with the human nature, and then the divine nature was somehow acquired at a later stage, at a later point, probably at his baptism, but I'm not sure that, don't quote me there. But certainly, if you deny the divine nature of Jesus at his birth, then Mary is no longer the mother of God. So that was again a problem, because somehow it questioned the reality of the incarnation itself. We do believe that God was made man, and the second person of the Trinity became a man 2,000 years ago in the person of Jesus. And Jesus had these two natures, and somehow the divine and the human were united completely in the incarnation of Jesus. The controversy was so special and probably so heated that this Council of Ephesus was called in the year 431, where kind of tried to put things straight, especially regarding Jesus's nature and also what the Mary's role in again in his Jesus birth. The Council of Ephesus said that Jesus had two natures, and he was truly God and truly man. It was from the conception, it was just there. It was not like 50-50, it was not like first human and then divine. Somehow Nestorius, what was doing is probably diminishing the divine nature of Jesus, because it was something that was attached to the human nature. So the Council of Ephesus said, no, this is two full natures. It's not, again, not 50-50. It's fully human, it's fully divine, and it's in one person, the person of Jesus. Therefore, Mary is the mother of the divine person, and therefore she is the mother of God. That Mary is the mother of God is one of the principal Marian dogmas, and the root and foundation, as we were saying before, of the dignity and singularity of Mary. And from this dogma it flows the Immaculate Conception and the Assumption of Mary. Mary is the mother of God might be problematic. It was certainly problematic if we understand it, like how comes that Mary, was she kind of previous to God himself or herself or itself? It was problematic. So she is the mother of God in as much as the second person of the Trinity is God, and in as much as the second person of the Trinity became a man, became flesh. And in as much as this second person of the Trinity is God, and in as much as this second person of the Trinity became human, Mary was the real mother. She had this baby in her womb, and that made her the mother of Jesus, both natures of Jesus, the divine nature and the human nature of Jesus. This is basically it. Again, I think it's a beautiful feast, and it's a reminder for all of us how important the reality of the incarnation is. And sometimes we celebrate Christmas, we go through the motions and the gifts and the parties, but we do not realize how significant is that in Jesus humanity and the divinity are made one. And sometimes this abyss, this gap that we may put ourselves into these two dimensions are, 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 are destroyed, with this reality of the incarnation that again in a way we are reminded in this coming feast of the Assumption of Mary. Again, God bless you all, keep you always safe, and keep you always joyful. This is Father Esteban for all of you. God bless you all.